Late yesterday, after we had a limited debate here about this new provision on the individual mandate, I described what is happening here in total in terms of the bill, what this bill means to real people, as a thief in the night. And why do I say that? Here's why I say it. We have had an experiment the entire year about 2 ways, and only 2, to debate and make progress on fixing our healthcare system. This is what's happened this year. We started the year and spent months, well into the summer and even beyond the summer, having a fight about repeal of the Affordable Care Act. One side wanted to decimate Medicaid, in my judgment, and we fought like hell against that. It ended up being that there was a stalemate. That was one way to do it, to have a big fight about the ACA, and that fight continues. The second way to do it is to do it in a bipartisan way, the way that we did it in the Help Committee, when Lamar Alexander and Patty Murray led an effort to attempt to pass a bipartisan bill that would stabilize the individual market, which is where most of the problems are, and to do it in a way that's bipartisan. That is still before the Senate. So there's only 2 ways to do this. The way one side tried to do it in a repeal, and the way we decided to do it together in a bipartisan fashion. I think we should focus on bipartisan solutions for health care. Then comes the CBO, saying, as you just noted, Mr. Barthold, repealing the individual mandate would result in 13 million people losing coverage. Senator McConnell, the majority leader, said yesterday this would create, quote, the opportunity to make permanent the corporate tax rate cut. And then, of course, CBO also tells us premiums go up by 10% per year in the next 10 years. Then we hear from Joint Committee on Taxation that says that, quote, millions of low-income and middle-income people face a tax increase. So we have to ask,
this doesn't devolve into a shouting.
What will happen in the context of both tax increases and coverage loss? Whether or not, when Joint Committee on Taxation tells us 13.8 million people will see a tax increase as a result of the bill in 2019. So we have to ask the question, how many will lose coverage and have their taxes increased as a result of this bill? That should be a question we're asking. How many will get the double hit of a tax increase and coverage loss? That's one question we should be asking. We should also be asking, what is the impact of this bill on children? What happens to children? Either children who might lose coverage, but let's say they don't lose coverage. Let's say their parents lose coverage because of the repeal of the individual mandate. What the hell happens to a child in that instance? And no one is asking that question. No one's asking the question, why the rush? Why does this have to be a drive-by in the middle of the night, rushing through a repeal of this individual mandate, which is so critical to diversifying the risk pool? Why would we rush a tax reform bill through this process? So when I say this bill is a thief in the night, I mean it. That's exactly what it is. Ripping health care from people. At the same time, you're jacking up their taxes.
Senator, your time is up.
Gladly yield.